Welcome to Sip Thy Coffee, where casual conversations flow and real talk happens. We keep it real, diving into authenticity, growth, and all the unpredictable moments life throws our way. Whether you're here for thought-provoking chats, a little encouragement, or just some good company, grab your coffee or whatever it is that keeps you going, and let's get into it. So I have no idea how this is the 8th episode already. I have no idea how we're just a couple of weeks away from April in the year 2025. And I have no idea how I'm about to turn 43 on Monday, March 23rd. Like, how does that even happen? Where has time gone? And yes, I revealed my age, and I really don't care because I'm happy being here. I would not want to relive any of my past time at all, except maybe, just maybe, some brief moments from childhood. But even then, I'm not so sure that I'd want to go back because I appreciate where I am and the things I've learned and the places I'm going, because I'm in a place right now that I'm so excited about what the future holds. And I wish that everybody could feel that way. And actually, I don't even have to wish it. Everybody can feel that way. It's all about your perspective. And I've talked about that 1,000 times. So we're not going to get into that again on this episode because then I'll sound like a broken record. But maybe I should sound like a broken record to get it through everybody's mind that is listening to this podcast. But no, I'm actually going to touch a little bit, at least starting out, because we know that I always end up in 50,000 different topics. And I want to talk about the small joys in life, the little things that sometimes we overlook while we are hustling and bustling around in this life and worried about everything that's going on. And I want everybody to share with me some of the small things that bring you joy, because I know I'm not the only one that has them. So, starting with number one, which is probably the most common across the board for everybody, is being able to take that first sip of coffee in the morning, whether it's cold coffee or hot coffee. There's just something about that. I think it's the caffeine. Knowing that as I'm taking in the caffeine, that my brain's actually going to start working, or at least halfway working. Um, Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But that's probably my top one as far as something simple. The second one is enjoying the evenings as the sun is setting and there's a cool breeze and just taking in the sounds of nature. I grew up doing that. My favorite place to do that was at my grandma and grandpa's in Indiana. They had a porch swing, and it was just something that they did every single evening after supper. They'd go out and they'd sit until the sun was set. And is something that still helps me just to kind of ground myself and be ready for the next day. Although I will admit that I don't do that near as often. So I'd have to say that that's definitely really important to me. And that's probably, I would rate that a 10. And that's something that I really need to be more intentional about doing. And there may be other people who that's their way of kind of resettling and getting ready for the next day. Okay, this one. It's a little bit more personal, and maybe I shouldn't say it, but you know what? When there's like a lot of women listening to this podcast, and you can see my cheeks are turning red. So sorry to the men who have to listen to me say this, but you know what? I'd almost have to switch that number one rank to coming home and taking a bra off, because seriously, that thing is suffocating most of the day, and it feels good to come home and take it off. Sorry, I had to say it. It is what it is. Moving on. Here's another one that probably mostly ladies can relate to, is getting your legs nice and shaved and climbing into fresh, clean sheets. I don't know what it is about that feeling, but it just feels really good. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't know. It's a sensory comfort for me, I suppose. Especially if I've managed to go like a month without shaving. Guilty, and I know I'm not the only ones who do not hate on me for that. And know that someone listening to this has done that same thing or has gone longer, so no judgment. I won't judge you, don't judge me. But that is absolutely a really, really good joy for me and a good feeling. And it just kind of makes you feel relaxed. And I'm only going to list one more thing so that I can kind of talk about other stuff. But another thing that comes to mind for me is being able to hop in the car, roll the windows down, and listen to music from, my childhood, my teenage years, and just blast it loud. And that's all I'm thinking about as I'm driving down the back roads. Unfortunately, I don't get to do that very often, mainly because where I live, there's really not that many back roads close by. However, when I was in Indiana, basically originally from there, there's plenty of county roads and country roads out that way to ride, and I used to do that all the time. One of my favorite things, and I really, really miss that. So when I get to do that, I'm a very happy person. And if you're in the car with me, you will definitely hear me singing at the top of my lungs, and I don't care because I love to sing. So with that being said, make sure you share with me in the comments some of the favorite things that bring you joy and just kind of make you feel chill, because I want to hear them, because I may do another episode to share more information about this. And moving on, about joy, it comes in all shapes and sizes. It's not something that's limited to just those things. Sometimes just seeing a person that you haven't seen in a long time will bring you joy. Sometimes spending extra time with your children, if you have them, will bring you joy, or just children in general. And of course, I think we can all agree that puppies and other animals will bring us joy. But for me, one of the biggest things that brings me joy is spending time with God. And I know that sounds like, how is that possible? But there's just a sense of peace that comes with that. And it's something that I practice. And it's not something that I say in a way that, oh, people have a lot of reluctancy about God simply because of religion and how Christianity has painted him, unfortunately, painted him in a negative way, and humans have brought a lot of bad things into what it means to have a relationship with him. And so I'm not going to get into that side of it because this is not something that I want to choose to speak on, but I'm just mentioning that. But when you take time to just sit still and meditate and listen and talk to him, there's a certain joy that comes over you that you can't find anywhere else. It doesn't exist. It exists within him, and that's why it's so important. And the two most important things we can do is love God and love people. And I've said that a lot, and I'm emphasizing that now because joy even comes from those two factors together. And it does really change your life. And there's something about letting go of the need to fit amongst people in a certain way. And I think I want to try to explain that a little bit deeper. See, we spend most of our lives trying to be accepted, trying to prove ourselves, trying to say, well, if I do this, then I'll feel better. If I do that, then I'll feel better. And we battle that a lot. Or we get into a certain mindset and like, okay, well, I'm stuck in my head. And we think that it takes this big major action to move out of that. And really sometimes all it is to stop and to sit still for a moment and eliminate a lot of the noise. And for the sake of not repeating myself for the 100th time, little moments of joy are very important. And you can get caught up in all the craziness that you have going on in your life. And you've got all this, I've got to get to work. I've got to get these tasks accomplished. I got to come home and I've got to do this and I've got to do that. And this is coming up tomorrow and I got that next week. It's important to be aware of the things that you have going on. But if you're not taking a moment to just take in the small things that are right in front of you, eventually you probably will explode and you'll hit burnout. And burnout is a bad place to be. No matter how busy you get, stop and sit in today in that moment and look for those things that will bring you joy. Intentionally build them into your life. Like every day, every day's busy. Every day you can find a moment at some point in your day to step away and just take a breath. And sometimes that's literally what I mean. Just take a breath. Exactly like that. And just relax and regroup yourself. And a lot of people don't think they have the ability to do that. And it takes practice, but it's very, very important. Find the things that calm your spirit. Find the things that calm your soul. Let go of the things that are driving you crazy. Like, yes, there's things we have to accomplish every day. Yes, there's things we have to do every day. Yes, there's things that you want to happen. And I completely understand that because I'm the same way. But instead of trying to think about all this stuff I have to do and what's ahead or what's not happening, I simply stay in the moment. And joy and finding those little pieces of joy can actually help ground you to the moment. You can find the smallest little things. Like there's this thing that I'm doing now, and I am creating content almost constantly. And the company that I'm working with, I get to be around all these neat little trinkets and treasures, like at least 3 days a week, if not more. And I'm a kid when I'm in that place. Like, I get excited, and that's the weirdness in me, I guess, but I get excited seeing all these little trinkets and treasures and antiques and all this different things that I can't necessarily buy to have in the space that I am at because there's no room and I don't have that kind of money just to buy something all the time. But it's fun seeing it all. It's fun taking it and sharing it with other people and showing other people and getting other people excited about it. Stuff is just stuff. However, when you can take stuff that has existed for years or take stuff that you wouldn't think is usable and make use out of it, it's amazing what can be done with that. And I just get excited about it because it kind of fits my weird little joys. And so there's how I find the joy in that moment. When I come home, I have other things that I have to do. And so I look for the joy in that. And I'm not going to list all those things because I would be here all day. But like everything that you do, if you look for the way to have gratitude in it and the way to have joy in it, you'll find yourself smiling a lot more often. And maybe you're in a not so good circumstance. I've been there as well. But I still, as much as I could, practiced finding joy and gratitude in everything. And if you're in a situation that nothing is good and you're more stressed than you are not stressed, you might want to consider making some changes. I'm just being honest with you. And if you didn't listen to last week's podcast episode, I encourage you to go listen to that because there comes a point, as I say in that, you have to stop making excuses and start making changes, and you can do that. And I think sometimes, and I can speak on this because I've been there and I can still find myself there at times, is we get caught up in trying to make things happen, or we get caught up in frustration over what we want to accomplish and feel like we can't and feel like we don't have the resources to do it. And I think one of the things that helps you get through that is if you continually um, look for a solution rather than complaining about the obstacles of the problem. And I think the more energy that we spend on focusing on the problem, then we don't have that same energy to focus and find the solution. And starting that out with gratitude and joy is one good way to make that step forward. And I've been in a place to where I was so bogged down with just aggravation of the way things were, and a lot of that had to do with the relationship that I was in at the moment. And I knew I wanted better for myself, but that individual was holding me back. And I know that I've said, don't let someone hold you back. Well, I was doing that, and I was attempting to move forward no matter what. But there's a certain aspect to when someone who is there standing purposely trying to drag you backwards and to control the situation, and that is saying and doing things that are manipulative. And so you get messed up, and it makes it hard to focus and it makes it hard to be positive. So I completely understand the struggles that come along. And that's why I'm not going to sit here and be that rah-rah cheerleader like, oh, go positive, stay positive, stay, with the right attitude, blah, 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 because I know how hard it is, but I know it's possible. I know what's on the other side if you just keep pushing, because I wouldn't be sitting here doing this. I wouldn't be moving forward the way I am in my life. And it has been a long road. It has not been something that has happened for me overnight. I mean, I've been struggling my whole life nearly. I started reprogramming my mind and changing my thoughts and not allowing myself to think in a negative way as often as I possibly could. It got a little bit easier each time. Things started changing each time. I kept waiting and I kept being persistent no matter what. And sometimes the change comes just from simply continuing. You can be right there on the verge of it and then decide to quit. Then what? You're just going to be as miserable as you are trying to push through. So keep pushing through. Keep finding those things in your life that bring you joy. Keep adding things. Like, look for things to bring you joy. Add them in. Don't assume that things are as good as they're going to get. Assume they're going to get better and choose to make them better. And so many people get caught up in that. And it just, it's one of those things that I get frustrated with. And not because I don't understand, but because I know, like I said, I know where you can get. I know what's on the other side if you just keep going and you just have to keep choosing it every day. And joy and gratitude is such an amazing tool. And intentional joy and gratitude is such an amazing tool. Like, you could assume, oh, you're only going to get the joy when you see the joy easily. But when you take the time to stop and look for it, it does some amazing things for you because it makes your mind turn away from the negative thoughts. Instead of focusing on those things, it shifts to the positive. And continually do that every day when you wake up. Find something to be, thankful for. Every day when you wake up, choose to be happy that day. Don't assume you're going to have a bad day at work if you're somebody who goes to work every day. You could be like, oh, great. I'm going to have the same day I had yesterday with so and so's going to say such and such, and they're going to make me mad and just ruin my whole day. Well, yeah, if that's what you're looking for, that's what you're going to find. So if you're looking for joy and you're looking for things to be thankful for, that's what you're going to find. We always find what we're looking for. That's proven across the board with everything, and even in marketing. Like, you're going to find what you're looking for. If y'all have not, been scrolling Facebook and you start seeing these ads of something you talked about or looked for 2 days ago or even 2 minutes ago, that in and of itself, yes, that's an algorithm and it's purposely put in place, but there's a reason for that. Life is the same way, whether you believe it or not. You will always find what you're looking for. So you get a new car and you're driving that car around and you absolutely love it and you never noticed that type of car before, but now that you're driving it, doesn't it start showing up everywhere? See, you're going to find what you're looking for. So if you're looking for joy and you're looking for things to be thankful for, those are the things that are going to start pouring in to your life. Test my theory sometime. Just start spending a couple of days doing that and watch what happens. It might take a little while. It might not happen in 1 or 2 days. So keep at it. But I guarantee that things will change if you start focusing on that. And another big tip that I would give you, if you do go somewhere else, like a job, and you come home, don't bring the stress from that place home with you. Turn it off as best you can and leave it at the door. Have your home separate, a separate setting than the things you deal with at work. If you work from home, if you possibly can, have your space separated. This is where you work. This is where I do me. Don't bring your work home. Because when you do that, you are just letting all of that stress bleed over into your life at home, and you're not giving yourself that space to just release it and go back to it the next day. It carries over to everything, carries over to your children, carries over to your spouse, or whoever else is in the home with you. It carries over to yourself. If you're single and at home alone, don't do that. Leave it behind, flip that off, and then focus on yourself when you come home. When you step out of that. Shifting gears can be hard for some people. Not me, never. But it's critical that you do that. And yeah, I've gotten a lot better at that lately, though, because when you start taking on different projects, like if you don't cut one off and start the other, you'd be trying to do all of them at one time and nothing gets done. Multitasking does not work. It's a waste of time and it's not very joyous. it all of a sudden turns into this big mushy chaos. So I don't recommend multitasking. And if you have that space once a week where you could just step away briefly from all responsibilities and just take a breather, and I know that's harder for some people than others, but when I mean all responsibilities, I mean anything outside of personally yourself and your self-care, or care of your family, and even sometimes care of your family as a woman or a man who is in charge of their entire household. You have to find that space to just kind of step back, and this moment is for me, and to just clear your mind. And in those moments, spend time meditating on the things that you can be grateful for and that you can find joy in. And it really moves your mind to a better place. And as your mind begins to shift and think more on the joy and think more on the things to be thankful for and ways that it can find happiness, your mind will start growing and you'll find new seeds being planted, new ideas, new opportunities that start to come around because your eyes are open and your ears are open because you're looking at things from a new perspective. You're going to see things that you didn't see before, and you're going to wonder how in the world did you miss that when it was right in front of you the whole entire time? And that's all it takes. Start that. That's a good step forward. And the next one will be there. And the next one. And you'll start finding ways to adjust and change easier and to overcome obstacles easier and to just live your life in a way that feels absolutely peaceful and comfortable and exciting and new. And with that being said, this is going to be the end of this episode. Hopefully, I brought some good stuff your way and I didn't bore you to death. But I will see you again next week.
And that's a wrap on this episode of Sip by Coffee. If you made it this far, congrats. You have an impressive attention span. If something resonated with you, let us know. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep growing, keep being real, and try not to cause too much chaos, or at least make it entertaining.